Russia is a country that is no stranger to turmoil. With centuries of uprising, dictatorships, and tragedy, Russians know what it means to suffer and to survive. Perhaps the past 6 years have meant an ultimate in extremes. Perestroika in the 80s revealed endless food lines. 1991 sent repression reeling as the Iron Curtain was finally pulled back, replaced by a bright ray of democracy, bringing with it hope and a new adversary as well. The younger generation had their first taste for freedom, but with it came an unseemly desire to pursue money.
We were brought up to believe that money mattered less than the honor of your country.
First came change, then hope, and eventually despair. Such sentiments are not reserved for the common man alone. Athletes, too, felt the pain. Once considered the Soviets' other weapon against the West, the training camps that manufactured Olympic champions have since been left to wither. The gymnastics training camp at Lake Krugloye outside Moscow was a virtual state secret, off limits to foreigners. Here, legends were created and decades of world titles won. But today, people step over debris to enter the walls of peeling paint that house the smallest reserve of talent Russian gymnastics has ever known. Funding is not all that's dwindling. Hundreds of coaches have left the system for bigger salaries elsewhere.
After the collapse of the Soviet Union, life has become more difficult economically. The coaches' salaries are way below average. It's not even enough to buy clothes. I finally got an apartment after 40 years of work.
The meager coaching salaries come from private clubs and the financially struggling Gymnastics Federation, but still there are those who stay.
I do not leave because I want to bring the team to the Olympics. I love my country. I love the creative process of gymnastics. And how could I create without knowing the language, the people?
How could I leave Svetlana after having invested so much in her? I need to lead her to the ultimate goals.
Even though some old-time coaches remain, powerhouse gold medalists like Svetlana Boginskaya and Vitaly Sherba are now gone in the wake of independence, competing now for their individual republics. Change and the lure of the West may soon entice even current Russian hopefuls, who might be looking for more than world titles.
I want to train here till the Olympics, and then I think I'd like to perform abroad. We get very little money compared to athletes in other countries.
The 60 athletes that train here now eat soup instead of caviar. The Russian Gymnastics Federation pays for the athletes' room and board, and their Olympic Committee gives them a monthly stipend of 150 rubles, or about $33. The training camp at Lake Krugloye now sits almost as a symbol of Russia's perpetual cycle of upheaval. Foundations, once laid with sights on improvement, are now eroding like the hopes of a people in search of a better life. But at Lake Krugloye, hope may once again be fulfilled, even if it means a return to state control.
Before, the camp was funded by the state, but since the collapse of the Soviet Union, the ownership has become privatized. The people in charge can't find the money, or aren't interested in developing. Either way, it is slowly going downhill. But now the Olympic Committee has decided to make it federal property again. Then it will be in perfect condition.
Like the dreams of Olympic glory, hope springs eternal. When we return, Shannon Miller tries to lead the Americans to a third world team medal. Special edition of ABC's Wide World of Sports. We'll be bringing you the all-around competition. But now it's time for the battle for the women's team title, where the top 12 countries qualify for the Olympics. And Kathy Johnson-Clark, the U.S. could win their third ever World Championship team medal here. They're currently in second place.
It's extraordinary since the U.S. is competing without some of their stars who have World Championship experience. Dominique Dawes, Amanda Borden, and Amy Chow are all out with injuries. But what seemed like a real negative may turn into the ultimate positive. The U.S. U.S. has rarely had the luxury of team depth before. Now the veterans can take time to heal, while others gain experience and most likely win a world championship medal. The Americans have a little bit of everything here. Great veterans like Shannon Miller, super newcomers like Dominic Moceanu, and a core of well-trained athletes that can step in and perform well under this kind of pressure.
And the winners here, we should acknowledge, should be considered the odds-on favorite for the Olympics next summer. And right now, that team appears to be the Romanians. And Bart Connor, this team, the Romanians, look as good and deep and strong as we've ever seen.
That's right, John. As good as the Romanians have been over the last 20 years, well, this may be their best team ever. Led by world and Olympic champions Lavinia Milosevic and Gina Gojan, plus a sensational newcomer, 14-year-old Alexandra Marinescu, Romania's answer to American Dominic Moceanu. The Russian women will contend here for a medal as well. Their leader is recent European Cup champion Svetlana Horkina. Now, China will have to be more consistent than usual if they want to have a shot at a team medal. Mo Hui Lan is their superstar, who will definitely provide some highlights today.
Here are the standings of the top 4 teams after the compulsories, which account for half of the team's overall score. Romania leads the field, followed by the United States in second, just ahead of Russia. America begins the first rotation on the uneven parallel bars with Dominic Moceanu. She's the youngest ever U.S. national champion. She turned 14 the day before this meet began.
This is just a wild routine. Because of her body size, everything is so stretched out and huge.
Oh, little trouble on that transition. She inserted that new move, the pack salto, but she was very inconsistent in practice.
Huge release move. The judges like to see this, although she really does need to clean up her form a little bit, especially before Atlanta.
Boy, does she crank that dismount.
That is the very best double layout off the uneven bars I've ever seen.
Even though Dominique was shaky on her early transition to the low bar, this is a great angle to see. Even though she is one tiny little gymnast at just 4 feet 5 inches tall, all of her moves are big.
Moceanu earns a 9.7 on bars, and so now we turn our attention to the vault area, where Romania's Lavinia Milosevic, the Olympic champion in this event, is next.
This is one of the more difficult vaults in the competition. It's actually called a Phelps, named after a U.S. gymnast that's here in the competition. She'll do a half twist off the horse into a front layout. I've actually seen her do that vault better, but it's a pretty strong vault.
Next up, a youngster who made her debut at the World Championships last year in Brisbane. Mighty Mo Hui Lan won 5 gold medals at the '94 Asian Games, one of them on the floor exercise.
We've seen a huge improvement so far with the Chinese, both in their tumbling and on vault during the workouts. Very big, double layout.
Milosevic earned a 9.637 on vault.
Though the Chinese have always had great technique, they've never had the power before to come up with the big tumbling passes. Watch this, though. She's very springy. 2 whip backs to a double twist. Big improvement in their level of difficulty. At the end of the routine, Mike pull in. Very strong performance for the Chinese.
Clearly, we're going to be seeing more of Mighty Mo by the Olympics next year. Next up, one of the greatest names in the sport of gymnastics, Shannon Miller, with 13 Olympic and World Championship medals. She's America's final performer on bars.
This has consistently been one of Shannon Miller's very best routines since she won a medal at the World Championships, first in '91. She won the World Championships on this event. Watch this, full over the bar. That's one of the best ones I've ever seen her do, actually.
She's really been struggling with her dismounts. See what she comes up with today.
She's going to throw a full twisting double back, and as you said, she has had trouble all week with this. Oh, she passed it way out, but
How
it
did
didn't
she
matter.
make that? Boy, I think she got a little lucky there, don't you?
A combination of a little luck and a whole lot of hard work.